Chong and the woman Huiru have a small argument. She notices Chong has been drinking. Then she sees Chong driving to report him. She runs all the way straight to the police booth on the overpass. She asks the officer to stop Chang's car. The officer says, "Please blow into this." Seeing her smug look, Chong decides to play along. He blows into the breathalyzer. The officer says, "It's normal." Huiru says, "That can't be right. There's a bottle of alcohol in his bag. I saw him drink it." The officer says, "Show it to me." Huiru says, "See, I told you there was alcohol." Chong says, "My kid replaced it with water. I rinsed the bottle several times. No alcohol smell left. Just for the habit." The officer even asks Huiru to come closer and smell it. Seeing her embarrassed face, Chong almost laughs out loud. Then Chong proudly takes back his ID. He waves goodbye to the officer. Huiru is so mad, she turns to leave. Chong quickly steps in front of her. He deliberately takes a sip in front of her. Chong says, "Trying to trick me." Then Chong purposely sticks his tongue out at Huiru. Huiru is a woman who collects scrap for a living. Chong is a retired widower. He lives alone with nothing to do. Their lives were completely separate. But that day Chong meddles in a park incident. Fate's string quietly ties them together. That day Chong takes his usual walk in the park. He sees two scrap collectors arguing with a park worker. Turns out the worker saw them piling garbage on the ground. He says it makes the park look bad, so he tries to chase them away. People nearby speak up to defend the scrap collectors, but Chong purposely sides with the worker. Huiru says, "Nobody's using this spot anyway. Cut us some slack." Chong says, "Who says nobody's using it? I'm using it now. Move aside." Chong says, "People online complain about bad elders. Bad people growing old. It's because of disrespectful folks like you. Parks are for exercise, not for your scrap business." Huiru says, "We are exercising right now." The man beside Huiru adds, "Yeah, I exercise when collecting scrap every day. I have every right to use this space." Chong says, "Why not pee here like that dog? Then, this spot is yours." Huiru gets mad and shouts, "What did you say?" Huiru pushes Chong, but he doesn't want to argue with a woman. To show he's not causing trouble for no reason, Chong takes out his whip. He says he'll practice here. This way he can also show off his skills. Let everyone see Chong is not someone to mess with, and he's not just looking for trouble. But after just a few cracks, Huiru rushes at him. She grabs the whip tightly. Her bracelet breaks in the struggle. Chong yells, "Are you crazy? Trying to get yourself hurt?" Huiru says, "Yeah, I'm trying to get hurt. Go ahead, hit me." The park worker sees things escalating and pleads, "Uncle Auntie, this is my fault. Please just take your trash and leave, okay?" The man with Huiru demands Chong pay for her broken jade bracelet. Huiru says, "It's fake, worthless." She angrily storms off with her scrap bags. But Chong doesn't expect what happens next. That afternoon, when Chong takes his grandson to visit Cantonese opera master Miss Cho, he runs into Huiru again. The person who brought Chong introduces her as Huiru, Miss Cho's caretaker. "This boy is Liang Sai. We found him at the youth center." So Huiru is the teacher's caretaker. After entering, Chong stays very careful, afraid Huiru might complain about him to Miss Cho and ruin the boy's chance to learn. To calm his nerves, Chong pulls out a bottle of liquor from his coat and takes a big gulp. But then his grandson runs out crying, "Grandpa, I don't want to learn. She yelled at me." The person who brought Chang's grandson tries to persuade Miss Cho. "Miss Cho, if you don't take a student this year, our group's mission to save this cultural heritage will fail." Chong says, "If kids could sing opera at birth, who'd need teachers?" Finally Chong leaves while grumbling angrily. But Huiru notices Chong drank alcohol. So to get back at him, she chases his car, even running onto a footbridge, to get traffic police to stop him. In the end, she has to run away embarrassed. Chong thinks he'll never see her again. But then his daughter calls. She says Miss Cho had mental health issues in the past. Now she only trusts her maid Huiru. She asks Chong to visit again tomorrow with his grandson. She adds that learning Cantonese opera could help with school admissions. Chong has no choice. He swallows his pride and goes back to Miss Cho's house. But Huiru blocks them at the door on purpose. She says Miss Cho isn't feeling well. She tells him to come back another day. Chong writes his phone number on a piece of cardboard. "When Miss Cho feels better, please call me." Huiru snaps, "Are you crazy? Who do you think I am?" She throws the cardboard with the number on the ground. Then she turns and walks upstairs without looking back, seeing she won't help and remembering she reported him yesterday. Chong gets really angry. Just then he notices piles of junk in the hallway. He sees a fire safety warning sign nearby. Suddenly he thinks of a way to get back at her. After reporting the fire hazard, Chong takes his grandson to the zoo. He used to work there before, so he can enter easily. He also helps his granddaughter film some videos. She uses them for her social media content. But that night, as Chong and his granddaughter review the footage, they get a call from the fire department. They tell him to come pick someone up. When the firefighters arrived earlier, Huiru got very upset. Her phone got smashed in the commotion. She couldn't contact anyone, so they called the number Chong left on the cardboard. The firefighter says, "Sir, why does your number match the complainant's? Really, what a coincidence." Chong tries hard to cover it up, but Huiru already knows he called the authorities. Watching her walk away without looking back, Chong feels mixed emotions. He wants to explain, to say he didn't mean to hurt her, that it was just a moment of anger, but the words won't come out. She says she'll repay the fine Chong paid for her, but Chong tries to act generous. "It's just a small amount." Huiru snaps. "Do you know how many bottles I'd need to collect to earn that much money? I hide my recyclables in the hallway. I hide the recyclables everywhere. Do you think I'm not embarrassed? Mike helps us collect recyclables in the park. He's just doing us a favor. But you had to chase him away with your complaints. Now I have nowhere to sell my recyclables. I can only leave them in the hallway. You think that money means nothing? But do you know how hard life is for others?" Chong admits he felt satisfied when he reported her. He wanted her to know how it feels to be in trouble. But seeing the anger and hurt in her eyes now, Chong suddenly realizes how selfish and thoughtless he was. Chong opposed Huiru in the park just to get attention. He reported her recyclables to get back at her while she's just trying to survive. Chong says, "I'm sorry." She asks, "For what? For the park or for reporting me?" Chong can't find the words, so he tries to make it right. He quietly loads all her recyclables into his car. He tells her to get in. Chong drives to the recycling center. The owner of the recycling station is Mike, the man who was with Huiru when Chong chased them away in the park. Huiru says, "Mike, these boxes got a little wet. You can deduct some money. It's okay." Seeing them politely arguing over a small amount of money makes Chong feel even more ashamed. Chong sees Mike's wife wobbling as she stands on a table. Chong wants to help her, but suddenly her pants fall down. Chong quickly turns away. Then she falls hard to the ground. Mike yells, "Get away. Mary, what are you doing? Mary, get up, get up. Help her, sit over there. Sit properly." Mike's wife seems to have some illness. She even mistakes Huiru for her daughter. Mike shouts, "Are you blind? You saw her about to fall, and you didn't say anything." Chong says, "I didn't know she was." Mike yells, "Who is she?" "She's my wife." Chong says, "I didn't know she was sick." Mike shouts, "You're the sick one. You go around hitting people with a whip. You're the one who's sick. You're sick." Huiru speaks up for Chong. "Mike, he just helped me." Ever since what happened at the park, Mike thinks Chong is a bad person. He tells Huiru to stay away from Chong. Chong walks Huiru home. He leaves without saying anything. When Chong gets home, his son and daughter-in-law are there. They came looking for their daughter. Their daughter, Emma, wants to go abroad to see her boyfriend, but her parents strongly disagree. To avoid them, Emma moves in with Chong. The next day, Chong goes to the zoo as usual. While filming footages for his granddaughter, Emma, he accidentally spots a familiar figure on the Ferris wheel. It's Mike's wife. She sits alone in the park. Chong thinks she might be lost. Chong asks, "Do you remember your home phone number?" But she doesn't respond. Chong can't reach Mike, so he calls Huiru. Right after calling, Chong sees she wet her pants. Chong nervously goes to a women's underwear store. People give him strange looks. Chong quickly grabs an item and leaves. When Mike's wife comes out after changing, she walks straight toward Chang's grandson. She mistakes Chang's grandson for her own child. "My son, Mom and Dad were wrong last time. We didn't have money for your school trip. Your sister was sick. Treating her illness cost so much money, my son." Chong quickly asks someone he knows to take his grandson home. When Mike's wife sees Chang's grandson leaving, she becomes more upset. It seems she's been through something traumatic before, probably related to her own children. Then she rests her head on Chang's shoulder. This calms her down. Chong worries she might get cold, so he even gives her his own shoes. Half an hour later, Mike and Huiru finally arrive in a hurry. Mike hits his own head in frustration. He was busy working this morning and forgot to lock the door. That's how his wife got out. Chong suddenly understands Mike's situation. Taking care of a sick wife is really hard. If you're not careful, she might wander off or even get hurt. But Mike has to deal with this stress and worry every day. Mike says sorry to his wife. "I'm so worried about you." Then Mike carries his wife on his back. Mike says, "Chong, I'll thank you properly another time. Let's go now. Be careful." Mike tells his wife, "Good girl, sleep now." As Chong watches Mike carry his wife away, he finally understands what true love means, what responsibility means after 40 years of marriage. Even when his wife got sick, even when life got hard, he never leaves her side. This kind of love is deeper than sweet words and more precious. Chang tells Huiru this is where he used to work. Then he shows her around. That big one is called Lame General. The one on the rock is Baldy. This one, Gappy. Huiru says, can't you give them nicer names? Chang says, I do. That one with the red bottom is called Imperial Smile. Huiru laughs. That playground is Chang's territory. Chang says he used to work in machine repair. When Huiru sees the monkey picking up bottles, Huiru suddenly thinks of herself. She says she also checks carefully when collecting bottles. She checks if it's worth 1 cent or 3. She also tells Chang she isn't really Miss Chow's maid. She takes care of Miss Cho to repay her kindness, because when she was in trouble Miss Cho was the one who helped her through it. So she stays by Miss Chow's side. But Miss Cho doesn't have much money. All these years Miss Cho has lived on support from the troop. That's why Huiru collects bottles and cans to help with expenses. Finally they walk to the elephant area. Chang takes a photo of the elephant that has been with him the longest. It feels like each visit could be the last. Huiru says, it seems to recognize you. Chang says, not senile yet. Huiru asks, do they miss home? Chang says, they probably don't remember home. They've been here too long. The people who raised them are all gone. Huiru asks, who raised them? Chang says a woman, very short. You couldn't even see her behind the elephant's leg. She is very small. She walks slowly too, like a snail. She always follows me and says, wait for me. I get angry, but she never hurries. Huiru asks, your wife? Chang says, she passed away 10 years ago. Huiru says, a man without a wife is like a house without rice. No wonder you use safety pins to fix your pants. Chang says, my hands are clumsy. I can't do needlework. Standing here and sharing these memories with Huiru, Chang suddenly feels maybe he shouldn't live alone anymore. Maybe he can try to start over. Maybe he should let go of the past. Then it's time to cook. Huiru hurries back home. At home, Chang asks his granddaughter Emma to buy him a phone. He also asks her to install apps on it. The granddaughter says, looks like it's for a lady friend. Mike invites Chang and Huiru for dinner. He thanks Chang for taking care of his wife. Chang also apologizes to Mike for what happened in the park. Then Mike's wife grabs some vegetables and tries to feed Chang. Chang knows this is her way of saying thank you. He eats it without hesitation. Then a woman suddenly appears at Mike's door. Mike quickly takes out a stack of money from the drawer. Huiru says, every time she comes, Mike's wallet ends up empty. The woman is actually Mike's youngest daughter. She got sick as a child, but the family was poor then, so they couldn't afford treatment. As a result, she lost hearing in one ear. To make up for it, the old couple gives her money every month, even though they know her husband is a gambler. Because Mike favors his youngest daughter, his 2 sons feel unhappy. They think their parents are unfair, so they rarely visit. Chang starts to understand why Mike is always so tired, why he works so hard. He not only supports himself and his sick wife, but also his youngest daughter's endless demands. Chang sighs. She's at the door. Won't she come in to see her mom? After Chang takes Huiru home, he hands her an envelope. Then Chang secretly watches from downstairs. He knows her phone is broken, but he's afraid to give it to her directly. He's afraid she'll think it's charity. He doesn't want to hurt her pride. So Chang puts the phone inside an envelope. He also leaves his contact info inside. But seeing Huiru so happy now, Chang can't help but smile too. For many years Chang rarely felt joy from others' happiness. His children are all grown up. Now they have their own lives. He's hardly part of their ups and downs. But seeing Huiru smile, Chang suddenly feels he's found meaning in life again. That night Huiru adds Chang on WeChat, using the phone he gave her. Chang says, still awake. Huiru replies, I've had insomnia for over 10 years. Chang says, me too. 2 sleepless souls under the same sky. The next day Chang brings his grandson to Miss Cho. Huiru notices the safety pin on Chang's pants. She offers to sew it for him. As she sews, Huiru starts opening up. Turns out she was born into a wealthy family, but Huiru's father wanted her to marry the village chief's son. She always refused. In the end, Huiru ran away with her childhood sweetheart, but fate played a cruel trick. The man died from illness during their journey. He left her alone in this world. After that Huiru stayed single. When leaving, Chang notices Huiru's recyclables left in the corner. He helps her deliver them to Mike's recycling station. $10.09 make it 11. This doesn't even cover my gas money. Then buy more gas next time. In the following days, Chang becomes obsessed with helping Huiru. He helps collect recyclables. Not just that, Chang even gives her all his empty bottles at home. Seeing her happy makes Chong happier than earning money himself. Chong asks, "Why do you always like Mike's posts? You never like mine." Huiru says, "You haven't posted anything recently." Chong replies, "You could like my old posts." Saying this, Chong realizes how childish he sounds, like a jealous kid. But Chong can't help himself. Chong wants her attention. He wants her to see him as someone special. Chong even helps Huiru fix her water pipe, but the water is too cold. His body can't handle it well. Huiru asks, "Are you okay? Drink some ginger soup tonight." But Chong refuses to show weakness. Chong says, "You can always trust me. Once our park's water ride broke down, I stayed in freezing water for 3 days and nights. No problem. Easy." With Chang's help, Huiru earns more and more money. Love gives Chong energy. He works harder than ever. This stubborn, strong, kind woman makes Chang's heart beat again after 10 long years. One day Chong takes his grandson to class. He sees Miss Cho crying quietly. Her pet bird is sick. The bird is her only friend besides Huiru. Chong rushes to the park to find his friend Peter. Peter used to work at the zoo's bird sanctuary. Peter fixes the bird in no time. Then he realizes the bird's owner is his favorite opera star, Miss Cho. "Miss Cho, I love your performances." Miss Cho has the sweetest singing voice. Her tunes are beautiful. Her costumes are stunning. People say she looks like a fairy. Back in our day, getting her poster was nearly impossible. Huiru closes the door and says, "Sorry, Miss Cho doesn't like people talking about her past." Soon, it's Peter's grandson's farewell party. Before studying abroad, Peter wants to invite Miss Cho, but she doesn't like public appearances. Instead, she gives him one of her old posters. Chong also invites Huiru to join them with her there. Chong feels proud and happy. But halfway through dinner, Peter's son suddenly pulls out a party liability waiver. No pressuring others to drink. No drunk driving or fighting. Any illnesses or accidents caused by drinking are not the host's responsibility. Peter's son says, "My law firm handles several cases like this yearly. Just avoiding trouble." "Chong, you get it," Chong says sadly. "When you got into law school back then, your dad and I were the ones who took you to your dorm. Now you've learned the law and come back to boss your dad and me around." Peter's son replies, "Don't say that. I wouldn't dare. Why don't you set an example?" Chong asks, "Does every table have to sign this?" Peter's son says, "Just these few tables with older guests need to sign." Chong says, "Kid, you've got this backwards. People our age know our limits with drinking. We're past the age of forcing drinks on people." Peter's son says, "Chong, you know how some elderly people never get checkups. They judge their own health. Look at my dad Dash. His left artery is 60% blocked, and he had no idea. One drinking session could give him a stroke. Remember Aunt Mary? By the time they found out, it was already too late." Peter angrily tells his son, "Shut your mouth. Aunt Mary was actually Chang's wife. Her death still haunts Chong." Chong fills his glass and toasts Peter's grandson studying abroad. Chong says, "I want to make this clear. I choose to drink this wine myself. If I die from drinking, it's my own problem. Nobody else is responsible." Chong finishes his drink and angrily leaves the party. This drink makes Chong feel wronged. It makes him angry and it makes him sad. When did it start? When did old people like them become a group that needs special treatment? When did it start? When did their existence become a burden to others? And at this moment Chong tells Huiru about his late wife. His wife died from stomach cancer. The doctor said she suffered through hundreds of severe pain attacks. But even though they lived together, Chong never noticed even once. Chong has always felt guilty about this. Chong thinks someone who couldn't even notice his own wife's illness doesn't deserve to love anyone else. Chong believes he doesn't deserve love. He doesn't deserve happiness. Drunk and emotional, Chong says something inappropriate to Huiru. Chong asks, "Do you like me? I'm such a selfish person. What do you see in me? I gave you a broken phone, helped you sell some junk. I just wanted you to take better care of my grandson, still not leaving. So you really want something from me? Is it my 4,000 yuan pension or my 80 square meter apartment?" Huiru throws the phone down and leaves watching her walk away. Chong feels both regret and despair. He thinks maybe he's just a jerk who doesn't deserve love. Then Chong gets a call from his granddaughter. She says she's drunk at a bar. Chong rushes over to bring her home. Back at home they sit down and talk for a long time. She got drunk this time because her parents won't let her go abroad to see her boyfriend. They stopped her. Suddenly, she changes the subject. She says, "My friends always say you're cool, trendy, and understanding. But I know the truth. You're just being a people pleaser." Chong asks, "Who am I pleasing?" The granddaughter says, "You're pleasing Auntie. You babysit for her. You please your grandson. You help him play video games. You please me by helping me film videos. Chong says, okay, that's enough. Chong knows his granddaughter is right. He really does try to please everyone, but he's afraid to admit the fear behind this people-pleasing. He's scared of being abandoned, scared of being disliked, scared of losing important people again, like when he lost his wife. The granddaughter says, nobody blames you about grandma. You're putting too much pressure on yourself. Stop trying to please others. It's too tiring. Try pleasing yourself for once. His granddaughter's words hit Chong like lightning. Back in his room, Chong can't hold back his emotions anymore. 10 years of bottled up pain, guilt, and self-blame finally find their way out now. For 10 years, Chong has been trying to make up for things by pleasing others, using self-blame to prove his love for his wife. Maybe it's really time to let himself off the hook. Maybe he should learn to forgive himself, learn to live for himself. The next day, Chang's daughter comes to the house. She says she's taking her son back home. Chong asks, what's wrong? His daughter says, there's been a bird flu outbreak recently. The neighborhood committee came to disinfect, but Miss Cho wouldn't let anyone touch her birds. Her helper actually got into a fight with them. Then she got taken away by the police. Miss Cho got too upset and accidentally fell from her wheelchair. She hurt her leg. The birds are safe, but she's in the hospital now. Isn't that ridiculous? Chong says, she's not a helper. He immediately rushes to the police station. Huiru signs some papers and is free to go home. Even though Chong greets her with a smile and offers to take her back, she still refuses. Chong says, at least take this phone. In case Miss Cho needs to reach you urgently, consider it borrowed from me. Huiru says, thank you. After returning home, Chong suddenly realizes today is actually Huiru's birthday. He remembers seeing her personal details when they paid the fine at the fire station that night. Chong prepares a birthday cake carefully, but Huiru still won't let him in. Huiru says, I never celebrate birthdays. Chong says, then treat today as an apology day. I'm sorry for what I said that night. Huiru says, you were just drunk that night. I also hit you. We're even now. Chong says, you know I was drunk. Words are honest thoughts. I admit I was upset that night. Please forgive an old man with health issues for talking nonsense. Huiru says, stop saying things I don't understand. You just look down on me because I collect trash. Chong says, that's not true. Let me explain. Huiru says, I don't want to hear it. I don't need your approval. Chong says, just listen to me for 1 second. Huiru says, I don't care about that. I don't like you. Chong says, what if I like you? Instead, I like you. I really like you. Chang's honesty leaves Huiru speechless. Chong doesn't want her to misunderstand anymore. People from Chang's generation often hide their true feelings, but Chong won't hide them anymore. He doesn't want to miss anything because he's afraid of awkwardness. Chong says, I'm not perfect. I even have many flaws, but saying I look down on you is unfair. How about I come see you tomorrow morning? I'll learn from you. I'll wander the world with my master collecting bottles. I'm forgetful and careless. I hope you don't mind. This is my way of making it up to you. Chong finally speaks his mind. He drops all his pretenses and pride. He thinks their generation has no time for guessing games. If you love someone, say it out loud. That way, there are no regrets. This is the real Chong. Not perfect, but honest. A bit rough, but sincere. Granddaughter asks, Grandpa, where were you so late? Chong says, I was making myself happy. His granddaughter is right. Chong should treat himself better now. Chong finally understands what it means to live for himself. It means daring to be your true self, daring to show your real feelings, daring to go after what you truly want. Early next morning, Chong arrives at Huiru's building right on time. He's got all the gear ready. He even changes the car's logo to Huiru's special ride. From that day on, Chong drives Huiru around to collect recyclables. They start their own little happiness. Between picking up bottles, Chong makes fun little toys for Huiru. When she gets tired from walking, Chong massages her feet. They even go to the amusement park together. Chong thinks he might be too old for amusement parks, but with Huiru they feel young again. Love really makes them feel like kids. These two people in their 60s act like young lovers at the park. At that moment, Chong understands what happiness is. It's not big promises or grand gestures. It's two people walking through life together, living simple days, but feeling truly happy. Chong once thought his chance for happiness ended when his wife passed away. But now he sees he's found happiness again with Huiru. This happiness is new and special to them. Mike suddenly asks Chong how to send timed messages. He says he needs to send them to recycling customers. Chong teaches him without thinking much. Then Huiru notices Mike's wife has blood on her pants. Mike rushes her to the hospital. While waiting outside, they see a patient pushing a mannequin. He is a school principal. When he gets confused, he treats the mannequin as his wife. He pushes her for walks. Huiru says his name is Principal Chun from the drama school. Chong asks, "You know him?" Huiru says the mannequin he pushes is Miss Cho. They were childhood sweethearts, but couldn't be together because of their family backgrounds. He never married. She never married. He couldn't accept it and let go. So he became like this, acting crazy. They wanted Miss Cho to move on, so they lied that he had died. After hearing this, she never left home again. Her behavior became strange. She only talks to birds. Huiru says, "This is what our leader told me. After all these years, the troupe wants to help them reunite. They want me to tell Miss Cho the truth, but no one knows how Miss Cho will react. The troupe is too scared to tell her. I'm even more scared." Just then, the scarf on the dummy suddenly blows away in the wind. Seeing Principal Chun about to break down, Huiru quickly steps forward. She ties her own scarf around the dummy. Only then does Principal Chun calm down. Is this the other side of love? If love is unfulfilled, if someone loses their loved one, what can a person become? Principal Chun chooses to live in a fantasy. Miss Cho chooses to shut herself away. Soon Mike comes out with his wife. Chong quickly asks how she is. Mike says it's just a small issue. On the way back, Mike suddenly suggests that Chong take them to the zoo. The request surprises Chong, but he agrees right away. Mike wants to create happy memories for his wife while she still recognizes them. Seeing the rare smile on Mike's wife's face, Chong feels both happy and sad. Her illness keeps her lost most of the time, but in this moment, she is clear-minded. She is happy. Finally, Chong and Mike stop in front of the elephant. Mike says, "I heard that when elephants grow old they know when they will die." Chong says that's right. They walk into the forest. They go to a hidden place to die quietly. Die quietly. That place is called the Elephant Graveyard. It's the final home for elephants. Mike says, "At least elephants know their final home." Chong hears the sadness in Mike's words. Elephants know their home, but what about us? Do we know where our final home is? The next day Mike calls his kids for dinner. It's his and his wife's 45th wedding anniversary. The last time they gathered like this was years ago. He also invites Chong and Huiru before eating. Mike wants to talk to his kids, but no one listens. The oldest son keeps answering calls. The grandkids keep saying they're hungry. "I'm so hungry, let's eat." Only the youngest daughter notices Mom's condition. "Mom and Dad seem worse. Last time she still knew me." Mike changes the subject and says let's eat. Mike's son playing games says lost again. Chong sees how disrespectful Mike's kids are. He's getting really angry. Mike feels the tension. Mike quickly takes out the gifts he prepared for the kids. "Little princess, your dad told Grandpa. You like Balala best." "Thanks, Grandpa." "And you like Bear, right?" "Thanks, Grandpa." "Good boy. You like Bald Strong." "Thanks, Grandpa." "Wait, let's clean them first. Can I play with the remote control car?" "Go ahead." "Wait, it has lots of germs." Dinner just started. The table was full of family members, but they all leave. Before finishing the meal, Huiru suggests Chong and Mike play a finger-guessing game. But after just a few rounds the daughter-in-law complains it's too loud. "Dad, can you keep it down?" Chong feels very uncomfortable during this meal. He holds back his anger several times. After dinner Mike and his wife see the kids off. Mike secretly gives his daughter some money. Then they just leave like that. No one asks about their mother's illness. No one offers to stay and help clean up. They just leave coldly like they just finished a task. They ate and took, then left. Chong sees them drop Mike's things, a remote control car on the floor, a cloth doll left on the table. Each one breaks his heart. Is this the sadness of their generation? They worked hard to raise their kids, but get no love or respect when old. To their kids, they're just a burden, just trouble. Mike and his wife wave goodbye like they're strangers. That loneliness, that feeling of being abandoned, Chong feels it from far away. Now Chong understands Mike's Zoo words. Elephants know their fate. They choose to die quietly, not burdening their herd. But what about humans? We live as burdens to our kids. Even death might trouble them. Next day Chong takes Huiru to see Miss Cho. Then Mike's message arrives. "Thanks for teaching me time messages. According to my calculations, when you get this message we will already be leaving forever. For years now my wife and I haven't had one good night's sleep. Now we can finally sleep until morning. I just need to ask you to come over and help clean things up. Don't blame me for not telling you the truth. I didn't tell my kids either. Actually, my wife has bowel cancer. She got diagnosed before we even met. I heard before that people with Alzheimer's are less likely to get cancer. I must be the unluckiest man alive. She got both diseases. The painkillers stopped working. Seeing her in such pain feels like needles stabbing my heart. Sometimes, when the pain gets too bad, she even becomes clear-headed again. Mike's wife often says in pain, "Just let me go." Mike's text says, "I love her, and it hurts to see her suffer, but I really don't know what to do. That day, when I came back from the zoo, my wife became very quiet. She hadn't been that calm in a long time. She said, "We're both old now. No one needs to remember us. Mike thinks maybe the elephant is a sign from heaven." Mike's text continues, "Just please come when it's time. Help me remove all the tape. Make it look like an accident. I'm afraid if people find out, my children will face gossip. My kids all have their flaws, but they're still my own flesh and blood. If anyone's to blame, it's me for not raising them right. Take the clay figures on the table. Keep them as a memory of us. Consider them our blessing for you and Huiru, my dear. Drink it after this. The pain will be gone forever in this life. You've suffered enough. Why are you crying? Husband, thank you." Chong and his wife are both timid. Holding hands while they sleep helps them feel braver. "Don't laugh at me, but at our wedding I promised myself to never leave her side. It's not that I'm so great, but if I leave her I really don't know how to live. Don't feel sad for us. For us, this isn't the end. It's a new beginning. This way, we can stay together forever." When they arrive at Mike's house, they notice a strong, sharp smell in the air. Chong quickly rips off the tape, sealing the windows. He opens the window. In his panic, Chong accidentally knocks over a clay figurine on the table. It was a keepsake from Mike and his wife's wedding. Chong looks guilty. He slaps himself hard several times, not because he broke the figurine, but because he arrived too late. He sees the two lying quietly on the bed. They hold hands, their faces peaceful. Mike's wife no longer has to suffer that unbearable pain, and Mike no longer has to watch his wife in agony. But Chang's heart feels torn apart. Chong and Huiru are devastated, not just because they lost two dear friends, but because they realize in this cold world, some pain is too much to bear. Some despair cannot be undone. Mike and his wife's death hits Chong and Huiru hard. Miss Cho doesn't want to trouble Huiru anymore. She moves into a nursing home. Her house will be taken back by the troop. Chong asks Huiru to move in with him, but she doesn't want to stay. She's afraid that one day she and Chong will face the same goodbye. If one of them leaves first, will the other end up like Miss Cho, living with regret every day, day and night, year after year? A few days later, Mike's eldest son throws a big banquet. It's held at a fancy hotel. The tables are full of good food and drinks, but when Chong looks around, no one seems sad. Chong just wants to leave this suffocating place. Then Mike's son starts speaking. He says, "An old saying goes, you want to care for your parents, but they're already gone. Our parents are gone. We're all heartbroken. Some say, only deaths at 90 or 100 can be called happy funerals. But I think the old man didn't suffer from any illness or pain before passing away. He lived a peaceful life and left this world in peace. That's what we call a happy funeral." Chong says that's bullshit. "Aren't you afraid of being struck by lightning for saying that?" Mike's son says, "Chong, if we've done anything wrong, you can tell me privately." Chong says, "I want to say it in front of all you, VIPs, friends and family. What is a happy funeral? Not making you take care of them, not causing you any trouble. That's your happy funeral. The day they die, you cremate them, then throw a banquet at some restaurant and call it done." Mike's son says, "Chong, this is my parents' memorial banquet." Chong says, "How dare you call it a memorial banquet? Your father and mother never ate such fancy meals in their whole lives. You think it was just an accident? Your parents were trying to save your face. I really want to slap you. There's trouble over here. Sir, please cooperate and leave. Please leave. Let go of me right now." The whip fights for justice, punishes evil, and praises good. The first 3 lashes are for ungrateful people who bite the hand that feeds them, those who care only about money. The next 3 lashes are for heartless children who don't respect their parents, who forget their parents when they grow up, calling this a happy funeral. 3 more lashes for hypocrites who pretend to be good. Even if everyone thinks Chong has gone crazy, even if they try to kick Chong out, Chong will still get justice for his friend. Chong tells Mike, "Sorry for ruining the funeral. I couldn't keep this anger inside. It hurts too much." Chong knows Mike is kind. He can't scold his own children. But Chong can't just stand by while they treat Mike with no respect. Maybe Chong really ruined their perfect show. Maybe Chong embarrassed them in front of guests. But what is real respect? What is real family love? Not this fancy but empty show, but treating parents well when they're alive, taking care of them, being there when they need you, be there for them at the police station. Chang's scolding might have woken up Mike's children. As Chong leaves, they run after him and call out to him. But now, even if they kneel, it can't make up for how they treated their parents. Chong says they're kneeling to the wrong person. Chong speaks softly, but his words carry great weight. Chong wants them to understand. The people who deserve their respect are gone. Their parents didn't need this late regret. They needed care while they were alive, someone by their side, and a little real love. After thinking it over, Huiru decides to move back to the countryside. Chang doesn't want her to go, but he decides to take her there himself. At a traffic light, they see a couple having their wedding. When the host asks the groom if he'll always stay loyal to his wife until death parts them, Chang blurts out, I do. Then the host asks the bride if she'll marry him whether he is sick or healthy, rich or poor. Always stay true to him. Huiru says I do. At that moment Chang feels they are having a special wedding. Even though there's no ceremony, no witnesses, their hearts are connected. But then the car behind keeps honking. It pulls them back to reality. They stay silent the whole way, until they reach Huiru's hometown. Chang asks, do you think we'll meet again? Huiru doesn't answer, but Chang understands her silence. It's not a rejection nor an acceptance, just helplessness. They know they love each other, but they also know life is complicated. At their age, love is no longer just about passion and romance. They must think about real-life problems. Back home, Chang takes a big gulp of wine. He glues the broken clay figure back together, then lies in bed, turning the light on and off. Chang doesn't know why he's doing this. Maybe this repetitive motion helps numb his feelings. Maybe he's trying to find a way to feel alive again. But whether the light is on or off, Chang still feels empty inside. Even when the fish in the tank dies, Chang doesn't care to clean it up. Seeing other people close to each other, Chang feels even more hopeless. Miss Chow's old house might be taken away any time. Chang still goes to feed Huiru's birds, but finds a letter she left on the table. It says, Chang, we've known each other so long. I don't know if you'll ever read this. Let fate decide. Some things are hard to say out loud. So I wrote them down. Choosing to be with you took all my courage. But after Mike passed away, I went back to my old fears. All the bad memories came rushing back. You know the pain of losing someone. We both climbed out of that deep hole. I'm afraid that one day, one of us will go through that pain again. We're getting old. I don't think we can take it. Mike imitated elephants. Let's follow Principal Chen's example. I've lived with Miss Cho for so long. I know how painful it is to live with regrets. I watch her wait by the window every day, hoping and wishing. But I know Miss Cho is like the bird she keeps trapped in this house her whole life because the window she watches is fake. So I don't dare to hope anymore. I'll just grow old with these memories. When I feel lonely, I'll think of our happy times together. Honestly, spending this time with you makes me feel 10 years younger. As people say these days, this is the highlight of my life. With these memories, my life is complete. Let's cherish them and grow old. Huiru chooses to warm her remaining years with memories. She chooses to protect their love this way, keeping it forever at its best moment, instead of risking to continue the relationship. Maybe she's right. Maybe this ending is best for both. Then Chang notices a forgotten bird. He sees himself in it. Like Chang, it's trapped in this space, unable to be free. When Chang takes the bird outside and sets it free, watching it fly away freely, he suddenly feels at peace. Maybe this is what Huiru wanted. She didn't want their love to become a cage. She didn't want them to end up like Principal Chun and Miss Cho, living with regrets and false hopes forever. She chose to set their love free, to keep it beautiful forever. Chang feels heartbroken but begins to understand her choice. Maybe this is the best ending. They had real love between them. They made beautiful memories. That should be enough. Now it's time to let go, to give each other freedom again. The next day, Chang goes to the park to practice with his whip as usual, but a staff member tells him it's not allowed. Chang quietly puts his whip away. Hearing familiar music from the speakers, he starts dancing without thinking that he remembers his time with Huiru. But as he gets lost in these memories, his body feels heavier and heavier. The memories become more painful. Then Chang has a health episode when he wakes up. 3 days have passed. Chang checks his phone and sees a message from his granddaughter. She says, Grandpa, I've met up with my boyfriend. We're going to travel the world on a budget. This Ferris wheel video will be the intro for our vlog channel. Thanks, Grandpa, love you. Suddenly, Chang hears loud noises from the next hospital room. He gets up to look. It's Principal Chun. He's finally awake. Principal Chun keeps shouting that he wants to see his wife. He now realizes the doll by his bed isn't his real wife. Seeing Principal Chun's pain, Chang feels deeply shaken. He suddenly sees his own future. If he continues like this, he'll end up just like Principal Chun, living with pain and regret, forever tormented by memories of the past. Chang doesn't want that. At this moment, Chang realizes something. His granddaughter has the courage to chase love. Mike had the courage to die for love. Why can't Chang fight for his own happiness? Why let fear hold him back? Chang makes a decision. maybe the most important decision of his life. He won't spend his remaining years with regrets. He won't suffer like Principal Chun. Chong will go find Huiru. Chong wants to tell her how he feels. He wants to fight for their love one more time. Chong drives straight to Huiru's hometown, maybe hearing the car horn. Huiru is already waiting by the road. Huiru, you got one thing wrong. Principal Chun isn't living happily. That wooden doll won't get sick or die, but it also can't cry or laugh. It's fake. No matter how you dress it up, it's still fake. Principal Chun wakes up and can't see his love. It's awful. I'm awake every day and can't see you. How long do you think I can take this pain? None of you dared to tell Miss Cho the truth. I dare. I contacted the hospital to find Miss Cho. Whether they can make up, they deserve a chance. Our generation always hides the most important words in our hearts, afraid it'll be awkward to say them today. I don't care anymore, awkward or not. So what you say, we're old. We are old, but as long as we're alive, we keep moving forward. Huiru, listen to me from now on. No matter if we're sick or healthy, poor or rich, I won't leave you anymore. Not until my last breath. Huiru, I love you. These are the most honest words Chong has ever said. These are the words he most wants her to hear. We're not young anymore, but that doesn't mean we don't deserve love. At this moment, Chong lets go of all his worries. He stops being afraid of the future. Chong only knows he loves her. Chong can't lose her. He wants to spend the rest of his time with her, no matter how long or short that may be. When Chong stands before Huiru and says, I love you, he suddenly understands what rebirth means. For 10 years, Chong thought he was making up for his wife's mistakes, but actually he was punishing himself with guilt. Chong thought if he pleased everyone, he could prove he still had worth, that he still deserved love. But his granddaughter's words wake him up. Real love doesn't need pleasing. It doesn't need begging. It only needs honesty. Mike and his wife's choice shows Chong another form of love. They use their lives to show what holding hands together and growing old means. Chong doesn't agree with their choice, but he understands their despair. In this cold world, sometimes death takes more courage than living. But Chong chooses a different path. He wants to live with clear eyes and love with clear eyes. Huiru is afraid of losing again. She fears the pain of separation. Chong understands her fear because he's been through it too. But Chong wants to tell her, and all seniors like them, love isn't just for the young. Love in old age has its own beauty. Their generation always hides important words in their hearts. They're afraid to show true feelings. They fear being a bother, a burden, or not perfect enough. But life is short. They don't have time to hesitate, test, or wait for the right moment. If you love someone, say it loud, even if your voice shakes, even if it's not graceful. Over the years, Chong has seen too much scenes like Mike's family dinners. Children just going through the motions, elderly parents trying too hard to please their kids. They fear becoming a burden, so they make themselves smaller and smaller, small enough to be ignored, small enough to be forgotten. But today Chong refuses to live like this anymore. Chong wants to stand tall, admit his flaws, but hold on to his principles. Chong wants to love someone honestly, not because he's perfect, but because he's sincere. Looking back, Chong was once an old man who tried too hard out of guilt. Now he's a warrior fighting for love. This change gives his life new meaning and teaches him one thing. Life's biggest regret isn't loving the wrong person, it's being too afraid to love. Life's biggest regret isn't losing something, it's never having the courage to try.